Hello everyone, welcome to the second edition of the Gurumantra podcast. And here is your Guru Sankalp Kumar. Today we have a student guest speaker, a special student from Pathways World School, Aravali, Sankalp Kapur, who scored 43 points in the final Hobbies board exam. Sankalp, welcome to the Gurumantra podcast and please introduce yourself to our audience.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sankalp Kapoor. I'm 18 years old and as sir said, I scored 43 in the final IB exams. I'll be studying at Cambridge University. My course is National Science. I'll be focusing on biology, and besides that, I'm into football, other sports like tennis, swimming. I'm also into art and drawing, and occasionally I like watching movies and listening to music.
Thank you, Sankalp. Behalf of the Gurumantra podcast, we welcome you. Your first question, Sankalp, can you tell how can you gain interest in IB subject if you don't find it interesting at the beginning? Which aspect of studying DP you think is most difficult?
To gain interest, you first have to try. You can't really make a judgment without trying anything. So for me, I had taken biology, chemistry, and math at higher level, and obviously I had to take English and Spanish at SL. But my other subject I wasn't sure about, so I thought I should go with physics. And I liked physics, but I was never really passionate about it. But the more classes I attended and more I read about it, I found a connect with the subject. And by the end of my 2 years in DP, I actually really enjoyed specific parts of physics, like climate physics, geophysics. And after that, I realized that once I had taken the subject, only then I could know if I liked it or not. And the same happened to me with English, because at first I was very skeptical when I really enjoyed doing English, taking the exam. But by the end, I had learned so much that it had struck me that English is so important and I actually enjoyed the subject. So to find interest, you have to try it. And if you don't enjoy it after a week or 2 weeks or a month, you can always change the subject, talk to your coordinator, and then try another subject. And sooner or later, you'll find your interest and your passion. And for the hardest part about the IB, I think DOK actually, because it is something unseen or something you're not really aware of until you come into DP. Like for my subjects, I knew what biology was, I knew what math was, I knew what English or Spanish was, but I didn't really know what TOK was. So it's a completely new subject or topic area which I had to explore and understand. I had to take a lot of time in class, I had to pay a lot of attention, focus a lot, and it took me a long time to finally get a grasp on the subject. And I think that paid off with my A in DOK. And I remember in classes, Guru sir would give us like quizzes and all, and that actually helped us get embedded into the subject. And I think it eased our process into learning TOK. And I would say that's the most difficult part, because it actually takes time to understand.
Good, that's a brilliant. So you need a passion and interest to select the subject. So Sankalp, on what basis can a student choose a subject in the DP? Especially you scored 43 points. So can you tell your personal story? How did you select your subject on the DP?
So I think any subject combination can get you any amount of points. But I think for me, again, as I said, I was quite certain about biology and chemistry because my interest was always in bio. And obviously to do bio, you need chemistry. So biology, chemistry, math was taken, English was taken because it's compulsory. And since I had done Spanish in middle school, I obviously should have taken Spanish in senior school, which I did. And then again, physics, the sixth subject, which ended up being physics, was a tough one because I was also torn between taking visual arts and physics, because art is another big passion of mine. It's a very big area for me, which I like to spend time with. But again, I think I realized that it's not possible to take two sciences and then an art. So that kind of forced me towards physics, which obviously worked out in the end. But again, to score 43 points, I don't think it matters which subjects you take, because for me, I actually lost marks in one of the compulsory subjects, which is Spanish. So I got 7s in everything which I had selected, but the ones which I could not choose from, which like Spanish, I actually lost marks in that. So I would say anything can get you any score. I could have, with my subjects, I could have gotten a 32. Or if I had history or economics, I could have gotten 37 or I could have gotten 45. It depends on your interest and how much effort you put in.
Brilliant. So Sankalp, I always believe a student regular attendance plays a very important role in the school. Especially, I've seen you got a little accident, your leg got broken, but even though you did not take rest on your home, you came every day school, you attend the classes. So can you tell why regular class attendance is very important in DP subject to get a good grade like 43?
Right, that's a good question, because many people overlook attendance actually, because people think they can always self-study, and you can self-study, but if you miss classes, you kind of get out of touch with what your teacher is telling you or what you are learning by yourself in the classroom. And regular attendance is important because you know what is happening and you can slowly identify where your weaknesses are, your problem areas, what your strengths are, and then you can choose what you need to spend more time on and what you can kind of rely on, if that makes sense. And as you said, I had injured my knee during that time, right before the mocks, and I knew that if I kind of, let's say, use my knee as an excuse to miss classes, then it would disadvantage me and it won't benefit me in any way. So I knew that if I kept going and if I kept attending classes and then took the exams normally, I would be better off, because I don't think if I could write and if I could listen in classes, then my knee shouldn't be an excuse to miss anything. And I think it is really important to have regular attendance, because especially for math, because I was consistent in classes for math until I think February, I think the last week of normal classes, not because of my injury, but I think I had a burnout. So we had one topic left in class which our teacher was teaching us, and I kind of missed out on those. So now I had to self-study that, and it was very difficult, and it was a big struggle for me to kind of understand that topic by my own, because it was a very difficult and challenging topic. So it took me a while, and I got a good understanding of it. But by the time the final exams came, I was kind of hoping that the question on this topic wouldn't come. So that's why I would say regular attendance is good, because it makes sure that you know everything that is going on, and that you can keep in touch with everything, and you have a good idea of what can come and what won't come in your exams.
So now, Sankalp, we are turning some of the questions related to TOK, because I have seen your 2 years journey of TOK. You always a star in the TOK class. So can you tell, how do you choose an item and write your rationale for TOK prompt in the grade 11 for the TOK exhibition?
So for the TOK exhibition, you have a long list of different prompts. I think there's 35 prompts. So obviously this is my first time writing anything related to TOK. So I wanted to go through everything, and whichever prompt caught my interest, I would just go for that. So I remember I went for prompt 18, which was, are some things unknowable? And that struck me because the question was simple, and something being unknown relates to curiosity and investigation. It can relate to science or the arts. It can pertain to anything, and that really caught my eye. So I would say to pick a prompt, just go through the list, look at all of them, think about some of them, but whichever prompt comes to your mind naturally, whichever one you have a good feeling about, just go for it and then don't look back. And then you choose your items again. As for choosing subjects, you have to keep trying until you find something you like, something you have an interest in. For me, for everyone actually, you have to take 3 objects. And I had a rough idea of what I could take, something about the black hole or, missing airplane, this and that. So I kept, exploring on Google or notebooks and textbooks, what could I take, what can I not take? So when I first presented my first 3 objects to you and the other teachers in our TOK class, I think there was a general agreement about 2 of them, and my 3rd object, I don't remember what it was, but we had agreed that it should not be there. And again, that made me realize that I have to keep trying and trying until I find something which has a lot of potential, where you can write a lot about that object, has a lot of scope, and also fits well into the prompt, and it is very unique. So again, to choose an object, you have to keep trying, find something which interests you, find something which you can write about, something with scope, and something unique, definitely.
So Sankalp, I have seen your TOK essay, which always I appreciated to others also.
Thank you.
What are some ways to incorporate TOK vocabulary to improve the quality of the TOK essay, and what you have done to improve your TOK essay putting the TOK vocabulary?
That's good, because for the TOK essay, you need to have TOK vocabulary, otherwise it doesn't fit into the subject at all. So earlier on, I think during the initial stages of my TOK essay planning, I had found a document on Google which had a list of TOK words and vocabulary, some of which I understood, some of which I was not familiar with. So the mistake I had made at first was I was just writing all my sentences full of these words, just crowding everything inside. And after a while, I had left it for a while, and maybe a week or 2 later, I came back to the essay and it made no sense whatsoever. So what I did was I first wrote my essay out normally, normal words, how I would speak naturally, I wrote it like that. Then once I went over it again, that's when I started to pick out different words and vocabulary which I could fit into the essay, which would make sense. And then that's very important, because that teaches you to, self-review and criticize your own work, find improvements, this and that. So I think to incorporate TOK vocabulary, it's a practice of self-criticizing your work and reviewing your work and seeing where you can improve or not. So again, to include vocabulary, again, don't rush it, put it aside for a while. And once you have maybe a couple of paragraphs, something which you've gone over, then start to look at vocabulary, start to look at higher level terms, something which is more associated with the subject in itself.
Wow. That's a brilliant method. So now, Sankalp, how will timely TOK feedback from your supervisor and active participation in TOK class are the important factor to improve the final TOK grade? Because I still remember our grade 11 classes, you are the first one, always give you a different answer, perspective. One, your participation, we always enjoyed in the class. So how the supervisor feedback and TOK participation improved your final grade to get an A in TOK?
Well, firstly, I think I was blessed with good teachers. That's one important thing. You guys made sure we were involved and you gave us quizzes, this and that. So that also meant you gave us feedback on time, which is important because let's say if I sent a draft in December and I don't get a response till February, then I become out of touch with the essay. You lose your motivation for a while and becomes very tedious towards the end. So I think timely feedback is important because it keeps you on track with your deadlines and with your essay. It makes sure that you can keep going back to it. It ensures that you can get as many improvements and feedbacks as you can. So timely feedback is important. And if your teachers, let's say, miss your email or they don't have the time, make sure you wait a bit and then you get in touch with them in school or via email again. Make sure you talk to them so they know that you are concerned about your essay and you want to improve the quality as much as you can. And again, for participation, again, it's very important because TOK is an unfamiliar subject when you enter DP. You need to make sure you try things, you fail. If you don't fail, you will never learn. That's very rudimentary thing about, learning and school, university, everything about life basically. So when you go to your TOK class, all the students start at the same level. You're all at level 0 basically. And the more you participate, the more you try, the more you ask, the more you raise your hand, the more you inquire, only then will your level go from 0 to 5 to 10 to 13, 20 and so on and so forth. So participation is important. It gets you interested, it gets you excited to write your essay. If you don't participate and you're just, doing your own thing in class, you will have no idea what to write in your essay. You'll be very confused. And that's when your feedback becomes even more important. But then by that point, the teacher realizes you're not interested. So why should the teacher be interested in you? So that's why so like every single class you have to be, energetic and all, but you have to know where your focus is. You have to know that you have to learn and you should keep that aim in mind.
Brilliant. So Sankalp, can you tell what factor did you consider when choosing a TOK title for your essay?
It was tough actually choosing a title because when I had seen the 6 titles, I had no idea what to do because I didn't realize they would be they would demand a really high level of thinking and inquisitiveness and such. So it took me a while to choose my title. I had gone through them. A couple of them had stood out to me because they had to do more with, let's say, imagination and curiosity and interpretations. So I think there were 2 titles which kind of had a relation to those type of concepts, and it took me a while to settle on one title, mainly because it had something to do with my interests. I think art was one compulsory area of knowledge in mine. I think it was the title about good and bad interpretations. So that kind of gave me scope to explore different subjects and, kind of find things which are creative, but also things which you can write a lot. So again, there's nothing really concrete and there's no concrete factor about choosing your TOK title. I think you have to find something which you feel like you can write about, something which gets your attention, something which doesn't require you to stress out too much. But that doesn't mean the title you choose won't stress you out. It will, but it will stress you out the least. I think I can say that. Again, something which interests you. That's, I think, the most important thing.
Brilliant one. So Sankalp, can you tell 2 tips for grade 11 and present grade 12 students to achieve A or B in TOK from your personal experience?
Again, as we've discussed, participation, you need to have some level of interest. You might have to force it, but again, you have to try. You have to keep trying. Something will happen at the end. Again, talk to your teacher, let them know what you're thinking, let them know what your understanding is with your own essay and with the TOK concepts in general. Make sure you actually try to write a good essay. It doesn't happen overnight. It took me a very long time to write a good essay in itself. So you have to keep trying, keep going over it, learn to criticize yourself, be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest, then you're just going to lie to yourself, and then you'll end up submitting work which you're not happy with, and then you'll get a grade which you feel like doesn't reflect your abilities and your talents and your skills. So it's important to be honest with yourself, be harsh, be honest with your TOK teacher as well. If you have a doubt, tell them, they'll help you, and ask your friends to look at your essay, let them give you feedback, ask your parents or your siblings. Anyone can give you feedback because TOK it's not a specialized subject. It's detailed, but anyone can get into. So anyone can read your essay and give you feedback. So the more feedback you get, the more criticism you get, it is good for you to get a good grade. A B or an both are good actually. So I would say that, and I would say don't give up, because it will get tough. For me, it took me a very, very long time to actually write my first paragraph. And I think for a couple of days, I was really, annoyed, and because I wasn't able to write anything, I couldn't think. So I had taken a break, and then one night I just, started writing anything which came to my mind. And I stayed up the entire night writing. And then by the time I finished, I had slept, and then the next day I woke up, and same day actually I woke up because it was an all-nighter. But so I woke up, and when I went back to the essay, I had something which I could, assess, and something I could fix. And that's a good place to start. So once I had written something, even if it didn't make sense, I could still make some edits, make some changes, and go from there. So to sum it up, you have to get feedback, participate in class, keep trying, even if you feel, down at sometimes, keep going, at some point it will be over, and as long as you put in effort, you'll be happy at the end.
Brilliant. I can see a lot of struggle from your experience.